What's up, YouTube? It's Ben, and I'm going to give you one secret to get all your candidates hired. Alright, so welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you already follow me. Be sure to be in my Facebook group, which is called Recruiter Empire. Link in description. Go ahead and join. There's 10,000 recruiters in the group that share, collaborate, interact, and engage. I answer questions in there, and I love interacting with all of you, so definitely click the link and join the group. Okay, so one secret to getting all the candidates hired. Generally, once you have a client, you have a mission. You have a mission to go recruiting. Whether you headhunt or post ads, however you do it, you're gonna get candidates, right? Once you get qualified candidates, let's say you have 5 candidates on your plate that are qualified to actually interview with your client. Awesome. The process from here is pretty straightforward. So you're going to obviously qualify those candidates. You're going to want to send them in for interviews. And during that process is when this big secret happens. This strategy wins every single time because it's so simple and it's so straightforward that you literally can't lose. So there's 3 main components to this strategy, this secret on how to get all your candidates hired, and I'll start with number 1. Number 1, the first thing you want to do once your first candidate interviews with your client is you want to hold a briefing with them. So a candidate briefing is really straightforward. It's basically having a phone call or a Zoom with your candidate and asking them a specific set of questions. You want to find out intel. So you're basically playing CIA agent here. You're going to want to figure out what questions were asked and how they asked the questions. This stuff is huge. If you can find out what questions were asked in the interview, it is almost 100% likely that they're asking the exact same questions to every single candidate that they're interviewing. Once you know those questions, you can tell every single candidate that's about to head into the interview exactly what to expect. It's a no-brainer. At that point, they're gonna know exactly how to answer based on what the previous candidate told you. Having that all in mind, your next candidates going into the interviews are going to know everything they need to answer with and exactly how to answer the questions. It's literally like a cheat code. Okay, so the second component to this secret or strategy here is finding out what tests, if any, were given by the client. Okay, sometimes during interviews, hiring managers like to test the candidate, right? They like to give you a little bit of a test and find out if you pass. So this could be something like, hey, do you know XYZ knowledge? Do you know what XYZ means? Do you know this terminology? Are you able to do this? Can you show me how to do that right here and now? Could you, in tech, can you solve a coding problem on a whiteboard? A really simple example of this is maybe the hiring manager opens up a laptop, an Excel spreadsheet, and says, write me up a formula that spits out X, Y, and Z. And you have to do it on the spot. And it's incredibly likely that they're going to ask every candidate to do that. Okay, so now that you know what tests are going to happen during the interview, you can then brief every candidate on that test. So that candidate can prep, obviously, prep by themselves or prep with you, even better, to know precisely how to pass the test. Okay, so the third component of this secret is identifying the demeanor of the interviewer. So who's ever interviewing your candidate is going to have a certain demeanor, a certain way about them, just something about the way they interview that's going to be really, really specific. Identifying that demeanor is critical because once you can identify exactly how they're going to act, how they're going to behave towards the candidate, will prep your candidate to be able to fight fire with fire or react in a certain way, right? Sometimes hiring managers are pretty laid back. They're pretty low key. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna ask you a few questions. We'll see if it's all good. Let's see if we vibe. If that happens, then we'll hire you, right? Other hiring managers are completely polar opposite. They want to go hardline. They go straight for the hardline, tough questions, the gotcha questions, like the ones that you don't know the answer to and they know it, those are the ones you want to find out about. You want to know this demeanor. You want to know their behavior, because once you can identify who's who and how they're going to act in the interview, you can prep that candidate on exactly what to expect when they go into the interview. Simply having your candidate completely 100% prepped on this interview, meaning knowing the questions that are going to be asked, knowing what tests are going to be given, if any, and knowing the demeanor of the interviewer is absolutely critical and will pretty much get them hired no matter what. And unless your candidate is just some ridiculous candidate that's not in the right interview, they're going to get hired. Pretty much 100%. This one secret alone has helped me get hundreds of candidates hired, literally over time, hundreds. Just knowing how to brief my candidates and prep them based on taking that information in, relaying it to my candidates, letting them know what's up, making sure that they nail the interview and get hired. If you're not using this strategy already, you absolutely need to implement this ASAP to get all your candidates hired. All right, guys, if you found any value in this video, please go ahead and tap that thumbs up button. Also, be sure you're in our Facebook group, link in description, and until next time.